So, my name is Alex Watson. I am studying for the real estate exam like so many others. And I just hope that this will be a motivating and encouraging webinar just for you guys to all take a moment, study, get this information, and let's go out and pass our exams. So, first off, we're just going to talk about the Texas Real Estate Commission, also known as the TREC. And believe it or not, that was actually created in 1949, which is actually a few years after the Texas Real Estate Licensing Act, which the TREC was created after the act was enforced by the Texas legislation. And that just means that there were real estate agents in the 1940s, 1930s before who were probably doing some things that were not the best. They probably was in doing some shady business practices, and people were selling homes to multiple people, and that wasn't a good look. So just because of the consumers kind of complaining and just banding together, they came out with the Texas Real Estate Licensing Act, and that's where we are today. So that act is based upon the Texas Occupations Code of 1101 and 1102, which basically gives TREC the ability to enforce laws pertaining to real estate. They have the ability to renew and issue real estate licenses, as well as to suspend or revoke any real estate agencies from being able to practice real estate. So the TREC Commission basically consists of 6 brokers as well as 3 public members, creating a total of 9 members. And all the individuals that make up the commission are actually appointed by the governor of the state of Texas. And the individuals appointed have 6 years. They can serve for 6 years. And the TREC also has a broker lawyer committee, which consists of 13 members. And this committee is ultimately dedicated to creating and editing real estate contracts. I mean, Texas is one of the best states to conduct real estate transactions, just because we have a whole committee committed to creating forms, promulgated forms that all real estate agents have to use. And the brokers that are in this committee are appointed by the State Bar of Texas. The brokers appointed by the governor / the TREC. And we also have this public member that's appointed by the TREC. And when we talk about promulgated forms, we're talking about the 1 to 4 family residential contract that you use for resale properties. I mean, for any typical property, residential property that's being sold on the market, you're going to typically use this contract here. And then we have, for those new homes that are being constructed all around Texas, we see new developers, new homes being built. So, I mean, real estate agents that are selling these properties, they can use the new home contract for complete construction or for incomplete construction, as you can see. And then for those condos, those condominiums, you have a residential contract that's also a promulgated form. So these are required to be used for all real estate agents that are practicing real estate in the state of Texas. They need to use these forms. For selling farm or ranch contracts, anything dealing with farm or ranch land forms, you want to use this contract. And any unimproved property, you're going to use this one here. So those are the 6 promulgated forms that you have to use as a real estate agent when practicing real estate in Texas. Here we have the Texas Deceptive Trade Practices Act of 1973. And this was also created to help that individual who's buying real estate. So it offers protections for buyers of real estate. And we have that term caveat venditor, which just means seller beware. And this is important because when you think about someone who's going out and buying a home, okay, they've spent money on getting an inspection. They spent money to do some repairs. They probably had to pay some moving costs to get to wherever the property is located, transferring all their items to this location, as well as maybe they're working with a real estate agent, so they have to pay those real estate agent fees. They've they spent a substantial amount of money, even putting down a earnest deposit just for the seller to decide that, oh, never mind, I don't want to sell anymore. So of course, I mean, we have these things in place to protect the seller and the buyer, specifically the buyer. So now the way real estate is run, you know, it's really that the seller that needs to beware, and that's why we have that term caveat venditor. And according to the Deceptive Trade Practices Act, it's just useful because it just protects consumers against any real estate agents or any other third party, maybe title companies that they're working with, just to make sure that they're not providing them with any misleading statements or conducting unconscionable actions, which is something you might see on the real estate exam, which just means inexcusable actions. Additionally, we have the Education Standards Advisory Committee, which is associated with the TREC, and it has 12 appointed members, 7 of whom are real estate agents and 4 are real estate instructors that are accredited by the TREC, and 1 public member. And this committee is dedicated to creating and maintaining those educational requirements for TREC-approved real estate schools. So when you're looking at all the schools that are offering real estate training, real estate courses, they have to be accredited by TREC in order to, provide those certificates that you need to take that real estate exam. Of course, as I was talking about a little earlier, the Texas Real Estate Licensing Act, that was passed in 1939, and TREC was created in 1949. So that's 10 years, 10-year difference. So there was 10 years where real estate agents, this law had been passed, but no one was enforcing the laws, which basically just says that if anyone violates the statutes listed, such as failure to perform duties that you've told your clients or customers that you're going to perform, or engaging in fraud, co-mingling funds, basically taking funds from an individual that you're doing business with and mixing it with your own money in your own account, that's a no-no. That's a red flag. You will be charged and could potentially lose your license for doing that. Not using the proper contracts, those promulgated forms, or acting dishonestly can all ultimately lead to your license being suspended or being revoked, or you obtaining some administrative penalties, which, as you can see here, that's $5,000 per violation each day that this violation continues. You can also receive some misdemeanor charges for violating just any acts and any things listed in the statutes. So, I mean, just to keep in mind whenever you're engaging with real estate, you don't want to engage in any shady business practices, and you just want to make sure you're just using that golden rule, treating others how you want to be treated. And if you keep that, I'm sure you'll do a good job as you're selling real estate after you pass this exam. So consumer protection notice, this is essentially something that has to be posted in all real estate offices. This form basically provides the contact information for customers, so they have the ability to file complaints. And all filed complaints must have a reasonable cause and be done within 4 years of the incident. So the statute of limitations for filing complaints for real estate related incidents is 4 years.